My name is Lance Armstrong. We appreciate your time. We understand your time is valuable. So we really want to dive into it today for you. I think we can all agree that over the last handful of years, maybe even the last decade, the internet has definitely changed the face of our industry. From social media to lead generation, what today does is allow us an opportunity to get better and really just face these trends head on. So with that being said, if you have any questions, any comments, I encourage you to put them in the text box that's in your GoToMeeting web browser so we can address that at the end. But I'd like to get myself out of the way and welcome Mona Hilton. You know, not only is Mona the founder and CEO for Genesis Global Technologies, but she's been doing some incredible things with the topic at hand. Mona?
Well, thank you, Lance. And yes, you heard him right. His name is really Lance Armstrong. That's what his parents named him. And I hear he's getting a bike, so we're all good to go. Well, listen, guys, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so very glad you're here. Internet marketing is a really important topic, as you well know. But it's laced with a lot of mystery. There's trepidation. There are a lot of unknowns, and there are some presumed, secrets surrounding internet marketing. So today what we'd like to do is dissect it just a little bit, enough to demystify it for you. Now, for those of you who already know me, you know that my education is, my background is in marketing. And in business school, we all learned about, the unique selling proposition, and we learned about the 4 Ps: price, promotion, place, and product. Now, don't tell my college professors, but so much has changed since we learned about the 4 Ps back in, I won't tell you what year that was, but it doesn't even resemble what we talked about back then. In the last 20 or so years, the entire surface, the entire landscape has changed drastically, especially in the last few years. We've seen the most dramatic change. There's been the economy, there's been prospects and mindsets, and the internet have been real, true game changers for our industry. What we do know is that the old ways of doing things, folks, just isn't effective any longer. And we have got to be open to changing the way we do business or face the potential reality of extinction. That's why I gotta love Einstein. He always knew just how to put it. Now, I want to share with you, before we get too far into this, a couple of examples that you may recognize. One is Kodak versus Fujifilm. Kodak and Fujifilm both started around 1880, and they started around the same time. Kodak was definitely the Google of its day. It was rated one of the world's 5 most valuable brands in 1990. But then came digital photography. That replaced film, and smartphones that replaced cameras. Unfortunately, Kodak failed to adapt. They didn't want to give up their high profit margins of film, but Fujifilm recognized that it was coming whether they were ready or not. So their strategy was to be as profitable as possible from film while developing a strategy to do high volumes with lower profits from digital. Here we are 132 years later. Kodak has faded like an old photo, if you'll excuse a bad pun. But Fujifilm has figured out how to remain strong and how to remain profitable. Another example that you might recognize is Netflix and Blockbuster. Now, Netflix and Blockbuster had not so much in common. Actually, in 1997, the man who founded Netflix went and rented Apollo 13 from Blockbuster. And 6 weeks later, he turned in the video, and he was very upset by the late charges. So he decided to start his own company. Things kind of started to go downhill for Blockbuster, and in 2000, Blockbuster was offered but declined the opportunity to purchase Netflix for $50 million. And instead, they struck a 20-year deal with Enron. Well, you know what happened in 2001? Didn't go so well for Kodak. And then down here, I don't know if you can see this, but this was in 2004. Blockbuster entered the online DVD rental market. Again, Reed, who is the founder of Netflix, he told analysts, in the last 6 months, Blockbuster has thrown everything but the kitchen sink at us. The very next day, he received a package from Blockbuster, a kitchen sink. How funny is that? But I think the joke wasn't really on him because Netflix continued to prosper. You can see some of their valuations, $20 billion versus Blockbuster's $8 billion. And I love right beside the start says Netflix didn't shut down Blockbuster, but they did steal the market that Blockbuster needed to move into. They Blockbuster that is, made some bad decisions, and it cost them. And here's what we're looking at today, and I love the rip. After Blockbuster dug its own grave, Netflix's 40 million customers are forging a new era of entertainment. So the moral of the story is, let's be a Netflix. Let's be a Fujifilm, and not a Blockbuster, and not a Kodak. So that's why I commend you for being on this call today. You recognize that there's constantly new things changing. There's new technologies. There's new strategies, and you're investing your knowledge and education in what's coming up. But I encourage you, though, not just to educate yourself, but take an honest look at the reality of your own organization. And then be willing to make some changes where you see opportunity. Try a few things. Change a few areas. See how it goes. Reevaluate them, and then make more changes. In our company, we call that pivoting. You put something out there, you kind of see what the response is to it, and then you pivot. You retract or you go further. So we all agree that there have been and continue to be a lot of changes in marketing and sales. Think for a second about how you've changed the way you buy in the last few years. Well, like this guy, it's probably not because of high-pressure sales tactics or timeshare tactics where they lure you into a room and get you in a corner and then work on you for hours on end until you sign, or they won't let you leave. And nobody wants to be treated that way. You don't, and your prospects don't. And honestly, the fear is that when you invite people onto your community, that's what you're going to do to them. The reality is, I love that. The reality is you probably do your buying a lot different, as do your prospects. You want to do your own research. You want to educate yourself. You want to talk to your friends and family. And by the way, testimonials from friends and family trumps every other marketing touch point. You want to get all your questions answered. You want to feel special by the people you're buying from. And then you want to make a decision that you feel like you controlled. Now, a savvy marketing person or salesperson knows how to walk you through that process. They know how to gently steer you through, uncover your needs and your pains, and then help you decide if their solution is best for you. Let me also just quickly inject a plug here for online testimonials. They are a great and very credible way for your prospects to hear what their peers' opinions are of your organization. So here's how I look at it, and you'll have to forgive the mixed metaphors. But in order to create that marketing experience that I just described, you first want to do what I call soften the beaches. You soften the beaches with education, information, and all kinds of free resources. It's a military term that I borrowed that means basically to prepare the target. Nowadays, that's called content marketing, offering free education, seminars, webinars like this one, and helpful information. Then when the beaches are softened, you want to do what I call casting a net to see who's ready or who's ripe to be engaged or to get more involved with you. Now keep in mind, people ripen at different rates. So you want to be there when they get ripe or when they're ready for what you provide. And for heaven's sakes, don't rush the process. Let your prospects, your family members, your referral sources drive, and let them control the timing. That's how you want to be treated. Remember, it's not about your selling process. It's about their buying journey. And today, that buying journey involves traversing a whole new landscape of marketing and sales. And the biggest player in this new world is, yep, the Internet. It is the fastest growing source of leads and by far the biggest source of information, data, and education. Talk about putting that encyclopedia into extinction, huh? Anybody still have an encyclopedia? I know I don't. I don't think Lance does either. No. But even on the internet, the marketing options are as many and as varied as they are offline. It's a multi-channel internet plan. So today we're going to discuss some of these in more detail. One is your website, content marketing, SEO and SEM and all those other good things. Social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, including LinkedIn groups, which I'm going to show you some tricks here in a minute about those. Pay-per-click, Google. You can also do pay-per-click on LinkedIn and Facebook. Webinar marketing, like what you're on right now. Video channels, YouTube, Vimeo, email marketing, and always remember that 80-20% rule, 80% information, 20% sales. And then, last but not least, referral sites, which are basically aggregates that attract the prospects in your industry using all the things we talked about, content, SEO, and then they pass those prospects on to you for free, of course. Now, the process of learning about each one of these, identifying the right channels for you, determining a strategy that accomplishes your goals, well, at the very least, it's intimidating and can be very confusing. One thing to keep at the forefront of your thought process and planning is content marketing is king. Content marketing is both a strategy and a tactic. If you're looking for content, I'll give you a great tip later on how to find and create very timely content. All right, so let's start unpacking these. Let's start with number one, website. Now, website is probably the first thing you thought of when we first talked about internet marketing. So let's talk about your website. What is your goal? Is your website an electronic brochure, or is it a source of education? Is it static, meaning it doesn't ever change, or is it interactive? Is it a lead generator for you? What is your website bounce rate? In other words, how many people leave your website immediately after they get there? Now, granted, some of that's unavoidable. They came to the wrong site, maybe they clicked on the wrong link, but your prospects should be intrigued when they get to your website. They should want to read an article. They should want to click on a link, watch a video, get some valuable information, and so on. Now, some basics that people, believe it or not, still forget is make sure that your web visitors can clearly see how to contact you immediately from every single page, your phone number, your address, etc. And of course, make sure your website is friendly to senior eyes. Use large font, high contrast, use upper and lower text because it's easier to see, and don't reverse out text from a dark background. And make sure your site clearly reflects your community's personality and what you do, who you are. Also, you've got to think about SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's really, SEO affects the visibility of your website through natural, unpaid, organic search results. So generally, the higher ranked your SEO is, the more frequently your site will appear on search engine lists, and the more visitors you'll get from search engine results. There's also SEM. SEM is search engine marketing. That involves the promotion of your website and increasing your visibility using both SEO tactics, search engine optimization, that's free, and also using pay-per-click. One thing I do want to say about SEO is although it's free in that you don't pay for it, it is very costly in time and effort and energy, and there's a lot of trial and error that goes into SEO. The other part of your website is reputation management. Now, there are plenty of services out there who will monitor and report on your brand's reputation based on comments that are posted online. There are some tools out there like Testimonial Tree that will let you easily build your own good reputation by encouraging your customers and your residents to write glowing testimonials about you. The beauty of that is those sites will also organically improve your SEO because of their third-party reference to your website, which search engines generally weight those more highly because of their perceived impartiality. And we'll talk about some other SEO boosters later on. The next thing we want to talk about is social media. That's the big unknown, the brave new world. There are numerous social media sites. I think they pop up about every week. It's amazing. And unless you have an army of social media marketing folks, you could drive yourself absolutely nuts trying to be everywhere, trying to post everything, trying to keep everything updated. There's Instagram, there's Pinterest. I'll tell you that Instagram and a site called Ask.fm, they're the new communication choice of the under 18 group. My kids don't even use Facebook anymore. It's old news for them. Pinterest, as you can imagine, is very picture-oriented in nature. Now, I'm not saying that they have no value, because they do. But what I am saying is you should concentrate your efforts on a couple that will give you the biggest bang for your buck. And since we don't have a whole week to discuss them all, I'm going to concentrate on 3, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Now, I'll throw some statistics at you. Regarding Facebook, there was a study done by Pingdom, that's the online research company, in 2012 that showed that 65% of users on Facebook are 35 or older. The average age is just over 40, and the largest group is aged between 45 and 54. A comparison with Pingdom's previous study done 2 years prior to that showed that the average age of the Facebook user increased by 2 years. So here we are 2 years further along, so we can assume that it's gone up another 2 years. Only 14% of Facebook users are under the age of 24. Now, about 60% of Facebook users are female and 40% are male. And 57% of users have completed some sort of college, 24% have completed either a bachelor's or a graduate, and there was a Pew Research survey that found that 63% of male Internet users were actively on Facebook versus 70% of female Internet users actively using Facebook. So based on these surveys, the estimated age of the average social media user is just under 37 years old. Here are some other observations you might like. LinkedIn has the oldest user base, with the average user being 44.2 years old. The average Facebook user is 40.5 years old. The average Twitter user is 37.3 years old. And there's a trend going on. Compared to a previous survey done 2.5 years ago, the age of the average Facebook user has gone up 2 years, while the age of the average Twitter user has gone down 2 years. In other words, Twitter's user base is getting younger, and Facebook's is getting older. And of course, Twitter and Facebook have the same gender distribution, 40% male, 60% female. So what do all these stats translate for you? That's a great question, and I can just give you my personal assessment. Because of the B2C slant, business to consumer slant, the age group and gender of Facebook users, I believe that Facebook is a great place to reach your family members of prospective residents. That's where they're at. Because of the professional and B2B or business-to-business focus of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a great place to find and connect and communicate to your professional referral sources, your discharge managers, your elder care attorneys, your realtors and such. Now, I personally love LinkedIn groups. Be sure and join all the groups in your industry and the ones that your professional referral sources are in. Now, if you're not sure what groups those are, check out the bottom of some of your referral sources' LinkedIn profiles, which is what you're seeing now. It lists the groups that they are a member of. See those? And if you're not a member, there'll be a little button that says join. Join them, and then start participating in group discussions. It's a great opportunity to showcase your knowledge, your interest on the topic. Groups are also a fabulous place to start your own discussions, post invites to webinars, as we did for this one, and share articles of interest to your professional referral sources. I also promise to tell you a great trick about using LinkedIn groups. Say you're trying to send a LinkedIn message to a professional referral source who you are not connected directly to. Well, you can't do it unless you upgrade your LinkedIn account or you pay for that message. But there is a way to get around that. If you are both members of a shared group, you can go to that group and send a direct message, as you're watching me do here, to another group member. How cool is that? Now, I think in terms of matching the mood of your online contacts. I think of it like this. When you're on Facebook, you're in personal time mode. When you're on LinkedIn, you're in work or professional mode. Twitter, on the other hand, is a little bit of a different animal. It's more of a corporate messaging avenue. Now, granted, there are some exceptions to that, but for some of you, having a specific Twitter feed might be a great way to communicate with the family members of your current existing residents. Great way to get messages out to them quickly. Of course, you need to be on Facebook, and your community needs to have a Facebook page where you can post news, events, personal slants, or things like birthdays, milestones. And you'll find that the more personal your posts are, the more people will like what you wrote. But at the end of the day, you've accomplished your goal. You're still getting, you're still using it to get your brand and your name in front of people. All right, let's switch a little bit and talk about pay-per-click. Now, pay-per-click is also referred to sometimes as cost per click. It's an advertising model that drives traffic to your website, and advertisers pay every time their ad is clicked. It's defined simply as the amount spent to get an advertisement clicked. Now, while Google was the first one to make pay-per-clicks popular, it's everywhere now. Here are a couple of Google ads that you might be familiar. You've seen all of these. I did a search on senior living. But you can find pay-per-click opportunities absolutely everywhere nowadays, from websites to email newsletters for associations. For example, most of the social media sites that we just talked about also offer pay-per-click opportunities. You can run a very inexpensive pay-per-click ad on Facebook for your communities. What makes it so much more powerful is that you can specifically target the audience you want to see it and who you want to reach by geography, by location, by gender, by interest, by jobs, whatever. So now you know why Facebook asks you where you live, where you work, and tracks all of those likes that you click on. As you can see here where I've highlighted in yellow, that's a target ad. I'm guessing at some point in the past I had clicked or liked a target something. So they're tracking all that, and they're using it to market to you, of course. But the same is also true for LinkedIn. You can target people by industries, by specific companies, by job titles, and anything when you want to create display ads. So as you can see here, obviously I've shown an interest in senior living and technology. So I am receiving ads that relate to those topics. You know, we're so used to being the victim of these ads, why not take advantage of it? Now, there are several possible strategies when you're doing pay-per-click campaigns. The obvious one is to get people to click through. But another strategy is to get your brand or your logo in front of them, in front of the right audience. Like you saw with the Target ad, their logo was in front of me, so I was seeing their logo every time I logged on. Either way, you want to think carefully about how you structure those ads. Who are you targeting? Is it a referral source? Is it a family member? It's going to be different depending on who you're trying to reach. Also, what is your goal for the pay-per-click ad? Are you going after an immediate need, like maybe someone whose mom just felt, or it could be a lifestyle teaser? And what do you want to accomplish with that ad? Are you trying to generate traffic for a free lunch offer, or get people to attend your event on, ways to pay for retirement? Or if you're targeting professional referral sources, maybe you want to offer them an article on the latest news in Alzheimer's care, or 7 signs your patient needs assistance at home. Lots of things to consider, huh? But before you do anything, put yourself in the shoes of your target audience, whether it's a prospective resident, a family member, a loved one, or a professional referral source. All right, let's talk just for a minute about webinar marketing. It worked on you, did it? Because you're watching right now. Now, webinars, just because of their very nature, are probably, at this point in time, best suited for the professional crowd. They can watch it live. You can also always send out a copy of the webinar recorder for later viewing at their convenience. Webinar recordings are awesome. They can be used across multiple channels, including video that we'll talk about later, and post them on your website. Recordings are more likely to be forwarded and shared with their colleagues, which is a good thing. It gives you more traction. And webinars, like seminars, they should be educational, they should be informative. Remember that people are investing their most precious commodity. No, it's not their money, it's their time, to listen to what you have to say. So make sure you make it worth their while. And based on that topic, you can attract a totally different audience in areas of interest to them. Keep in mind the 80-20 rule. Don't bring them to a webinar to do a sales pitch. We've done it before and regretted it. So fill them in with useful information, and in turn, they'll reward you by thinking of you as a subject matter expert on the topic. And there is no harm in also showing them how you address the topic at hand, as I will later on. So think for a moment, what topics could you do a webinar on that would be interesting to your referral sources, for example? All right, let's talk about video channels. I love videos, and you might have heard me say that before. There are several good free video outlets, including YouTube and Vimeo. You've probably watched things on there. Hopefully you have channels. You might already know this, but YouTube is now owned by Google. And because of that, YouTube videos and channels that you post that have links to your website will improve your website SEO organically, naturally, without having to pay for it. Video is one of my favorites for so many reasons. It's fun, it's an easy teaser and a lead generator. I don't think that people choose to read very much anymore unless they're really looking for specific details. But videos are versatile. You can do a serious piece on finances, or an emotional piece on mom and how you want to care for her, or a formal tour of your community on your website. You can do an informal video testimonials of your residents talking about this as being the best decision they ever made. Or you can do a fun, irreverent music lip sync video like the one I'm going to show you in a moment to a fun tune. The great thing is each of these strategies have their own purpose, and they accomplish their goals. And the truth is, with some of the current technologies that are probably sitting in your purse right now or in your pocket, there's not a whole lot of excuse. You can even edit or splice your videos together using a lot of different free software on the web right now. So I said I was going to show you a little bit of inspiration. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie. If you've seen it before, you'll still enjoy it because every time I watch it, I love it. I won't play all of it, but I just want to give you a taste.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. What you done? It's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
All right, guys, I'm so sorry to stop that on you, but I had to. How cool is that? That is just a really fun video. You will never forget it. You'll always remember it. And the reality is you might not be able to do something that's elaborate or that's expensive up front, but what can you do? Maybe there is something fun you can do. It doesn't have to always be elaborate. All right, so what I want to talk to you about next is I guess I want to play that some more. Email marketing. Now, email marketing can be direct marketing, and it can be email newsletters. Do you have an email newsletter for your community now? And if so, what is the goal of it? Is it to communicate with your prospects and family members, or resident family members, or professional referral sources? Is it to share community news? Or is it to do industry and senior health news and provide that information? Now, there is an excuse I hear a lot for not having an email newsletter. In fact, I heard it just last week. And that excuse is, we don't have anything to say and we don't have anyone to write content. Well, it sounds like a good excuse, and I would have agreed with you until right now. I'm about to eliminate that excuse for you. I have a secret. That secret is Google Alerts. You can create Google Alerts for searches on topics like Alzheimer's or senior health care. You can do it for companies or individuals or hospitals or practices or realtors. Whatever that topic or organization, whenever they're mentioned in the news or on a blog feed, you get an alert. You can not only create bunches of topical information that's extremely current, but you can also use Google Alerts to keep tabs on the news of your professional referral sources, when they get a promotion, when they hire, whatever that is. And when they show up in the news, you can send them a really nice card if you're into handwritten cards, or an email if you're more like me, or you can call and congratulate them. How cool does that make you? That makes you really on top of it. And also, remember those LinkedIn groups that I talked about earlier? Google Alerts is a great way to find articles and industry news that you can share on those groups. I mean, how cool is that? It makes you smart and on top of it and current. Again, back to being the subject matter expert. You can also use email marketing for events or for webinar invites or announcements or other communications like this Revival email blast that you see right here. Promise me that you're going to put creating a newsletter email campaign on your to-do list. You promise? I think I heard somebody say yes. Okay, good. All right. Last but not least, I want to talk to you just for a moment about referral sites. Now, these are aggregates that attract the prospects in the industry using content, SEO, pretty much all the things that we've already talked about. But they've been doing it for a while, and what they do is they pass those prospects on to you, their clients, in exchange for a fee, of course, that ranges depending on who the aggregate is and how you have it structured. Now, under the right circumstances, these aggregate referral sources might be a great source for leads for you that you wouldn't otherwise have gotten. But as always, there's always pros and cons to each one of them. So research them thoroughly, talk to other people, find out what others' experiences have been before you commit to a long-term contract. So while that wraps up our multi-channel internet marketing review, you've probably noticed common threads throughout all of these internet marketing channels. You guessed it, it's content. Remember that softening the beaches imagery I gave you? Content is a great way to attract, educate, and inform all of your target markets. But what I haven't addressed yet is the casting of the net, or the sales phase. While some content marketing can be used to cast the net, or as some people like to say, get your prospect to raise their hand, the gap between content marketing to generate leads and engaging them with those people personally is a big challenge. Why, you ask? Because that transition between interest and lead is a very precarious one. Statistically, 45% of people who do not bounce from your website will buy from you or your competitor within 12 months. And of those people, 75% will buy from the first person they talk to. So if you contact your web leads within 5 minutes of them reaching out to you, you're 100 times more likely to reach them, engage them, and sell to them than if you wait just 30 minutes. So follow-up is huge, but follow-up is also the major challenge. There was a survey done, and 65% of managers cited follow-up as their #1 biggest failure. About a week or so ago, we were talking to a marketer. We were talking about online leads and what you can do with them and how you can get them, and we shared some of these statistics. And you could hear her literally gasp. She told us, you know, for us it takes 3 to 4 days before I get our community web leads. And by the time I call them, she says, I call them right away, but by the time I call them, they've already committed to another community. At that point, all you can say is, ouch. I mean, what else is there to say? The secret is to capture instantly, engage, follow up, and track these leads all the way through the sales life cycle. But the reality is that is a lot easier to say than it is to do. That's why we, with your efficiency and productivity in mind, we built proprietary technology. We call them sticky points that you can embed throughout your internet marketing and online activities, your website articles, your social media posts, your LinkedIn group discussions, your video challenges, channels, your email marketing, your pay-per-click campaigns on Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all those places that you would post content marketing. And you can be as creative as you want on how to use those sticky points, from your contact us for a tour page to articles on how to talk to your aging parents about assisted living options, or videos on 7 signs your patient needs assistance at home, or invites to seminars, open houses, webinars, anything you can dream of. And you can make them look however you want. You can even mimic your website. You can ask whatever bits of information you'd like to. But here's where it gets really cool. When those leads are interested and click through to download that article or watch that video, the sticky point becomes magical. It instantly puts them into your system and it categorizes them. By that I mean if they download an article on how to talk to your aging parents about assisted living options, they're most likely a family member. It will categorize them that way. Versus if they watch a video on 7 times your patient needs assistance at home, they're most likely a potential referral source. So it'll put them in your system, it'll categorize them, it'll assign them to someone, it will notify that someone, and it will instantly start them on automated but personal follow-up, which we'll talk about in a moment. And it'll track the effectiveness of all of your marketing and track your cost per lead and your cost per sale. And to make sure that those leads never fall through your follow-up cracks, we created another proprietary technology called Taskomatics. Taskomatics let you strategically pre-plan, set and forget all of your follow-up paths and all of your follow-up activities for all kinds of online and offline leads. Taskomatics were really created with sales team productivity in mind. They automate and bulletproof that follow-up process to eliminate any point of failure and make sure that your follow happens. We like to say until they buy, cry, or get a restraining order, whichever comes first. And all of those multi-channel internet marketing that we talked about can be done out of one system, Occupancy Advantage. So you can post content to social media, send your email blasts, create and send your email newsletters, and embed sticky points in each of those different areas to generate inquiries and track your cost per lead and your cost per sale. Because what Google pay-per-click can tell you is how many people click through. What they can't tell you is what happened after the click. Where are they in the process? What was your cost per lead, your cost per sale for that campaign? Everything you need is in one easy-to-use system that incorporates our proprietary sticky points for lead generation and response, and Taskomatics for bulletproof follow-up. Another challenge we've heard from many of you is finding the time and resources to create these multi-channel internet campaigns for yourselves. Well, we've heard you loud and clear, so now we offer services to create cohesive monthly campaigns built around industry topics that you can use to promote through the multi-channels, email, newsletter, internet content, social media posts. Coincidentally, November is National Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and it's also Family Caregivers Month. Well, folks, that wraps up our online today's session on internet marketing. I hope you picked up a few ideas and inspiration. If you like what you saw about Occupancy Advantage, we invite you to get a free, live, no obligation tour. I promise you it's a game changer for today's sales and marketing. It'll forever change the way you market and fill your buildings in your communities. And it'll give you a competitive advantage over any of your competition, no matter how big they are or how much money they have. So please feel free to contact myself or Lance. Our address, our information is on the screen. Thanks again for your time, and now I'll turn it over to Lance for any Q&A.
Well, thank you, Mona, for those tidbits and gold nuggets that you shared with us. Like she stated, anyone who wants to further the conversation, definitely reach out to us. All the contact information is at the bottom of your screen. But for those of you who see it, for those of you who really want to take the internet and turn it into a lead generating machine to be able to capture, engage, follow up, and track, versus just have a content management system, reach out to us. You know, the question is, what do we have to lose by learning more? It's just another opportunity to get better. So we appreciate your time. Take care.